The Mets sweep the Giants to take a 2-game lead in the NL East. The Tigers finally get a win after limping out of the All-Star break, and the Yankees are the aggressors to start the deadline. We'll be getting to all of it on MLB Game Night.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Welcome to MLB Game Night, every game, every night. I'm your Sunday night host, Brian McKeon, alongside my partner and one half of Angels Weekly, Jon Frisch. Jon, how we doing?
I'm doing great, Brian. How are you? Welcome to the show, man. We're happy to have you.
Good, thank you. Yeah, I'll be here every Sunday going forward, so looking forward to it a lot. The big storylines for today, Jon, the Rangers, they swept the Braves. Their starting pitching's getting going. The A's also swept the Astros somehow. Cal Raleig's homering again. And we're going to start to see who are the buyers and who are the sellers at the deadline. But first, the Mets sweep over the Giants. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code one word locked on MLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. So, Jon, I mentioned the Mets sweep over the Giants. This is a big series win for the Mets. They get the 5-3 win at the end. Edwin Diaz kind of struggled, loaded the bases at the end. You got 2 home runs in this game out of Matt Chapman, and the Giants, who have reeled, not been good in their last 40 games, they're starting to prove themselves. What a strange series, though, for the Giants. Just such a loaded team roster-wise and can't seem to win here.
Yeah, and, the kicker seems to be like that Devers trade, right? It seems like you had all this anticipation for, add Devers to that lineup, let's go. And, he's been fine, but they just haven't really delivered on what you thought it would be. And of course, getting Matt Chapman back from injury has been huge. Of course, he had a big night tonight, but they just didn't deliver in the moment. And that's even with Willy Adames at the plate at the very end there. Now, of course, he's going up against Edwin Diaz, and Adames has been better too. So it's like the stats and the counting stats look great, but it's those crucial moments that they just can't seem to come through on.
13-27 in their last 40 games. Really not a good job performing. So right now, who do you think, Giants, buyers or sellers at the deadline?
Man, they already bought. They bought Devers, right? And so I think they have to keep trying, because I'm looking at the standings here, and they're right in the middle of the NL West. They're 7 games back, but if you take a look at the wild card, I don't know, man. I think that they could surpass the Reds, which are in front of them. But then you got the Brewers and the Phillies at the top of that wild card, and then the Padres. So depending on the rest of their schedule, if they can maybe get to the Padres, their fellow NL West rival, I think they have a chance to at least do something with these last 50 some odd games.
Phillies at the top of that wild card you mentioned, and they're there because the Mets have a 2-game lead on the National League East at this point. They've been they've really been great. They won 7 in a row at this point. Kodai Senga went 5 innings of 4 hit ball, 3 earned runs, 5 walks, but 3 strikeouts. Really gave them what they needed, and the Mets bullpen was dominant, led obviously by Gregory Soto, who made his debut for the Mets, going a scoreless inning. Let's hear from Chris Schubert of the Locked On Mets postcast. He's going to tell us how this series went for the Mets in San Francisco.
Mets have won 7 games in a row, and tonight it was because of a career day for Ronnie Mauricio, going 4 for 4, including the game-tying home run, a splashdown into McCovey Cove, a double, pair of doubles, and a single, setting up the insurance run in the 9th inning. Just an absolutely incredible day for Ronnie Mauricio as the Mets try to find offense outside of the big 4. Brett Beatty was doing it for a little bit. Ronnie Mauricio has this night tonight. The Mets are finding ways to get other guys involved, and other guys are stepping up right now. And speaking of stepping up, the New York Mets bullpen, they did it all series long. Not an earned run allowed by anybody over the course of the 3 games, and it was an all-hands-on-deck approach tonight. Jose Budo, Gregory Soto making his Mets debut. He looked great. That already looks like a great addition out there in that pen. Reed Garrett, Brooks Raley, Edwin Diaz. It was everybody that you could think of in a high leverage spot for the New York Mets. All of it added up led to the Mets' 7th straight win. They've opened up a game-plus lead over the Philadelphia Phillies in the NL East. And as we enter trade deadline week, the Mets are playing their best baseball this season.
Very key. You want to be playing your best baseball at this time of the year. And As they said, the Mets are going to be huge buyers going into this deadline. I wonder what they wind up doing, but Mauricio giving you the huge power. Also, as you guys may not know, I host Locked On Yankees. I'm one half of that podcast. As much as it pains me to say, Juan Soto's been terrific for the Mets. After a somewhat slow start, 25 home runs now on the year. He's been absolutely excellent for them too. So the Mets are going to be an aggressor. They kind of have to be with the position they're in. We'll see what they wind up doing going into the week, as trade deadline week is here. And that leads me to Guardians Royals, John. So the Royals win this game 4-1. They take the series 2 out of 3 against the Guardians. It's the Guardians' first series loss after the All-Star break. Now, what's crazy here is Seth Lugo looked like he was going to be one of probably the main starters that was traded at this deadline, especially the best starter, because there's not a lot of starters available on the market. And he basically went to the Royals and said, hey, trade me, sign me, or figure something out, because I'm going to force my way out of here. Well, it just broke before we went live that Seth Lugo is signing a 2-year deal about roughly around $44 million with the Royals. He's 35 years old, so that's why he didn't get long-term there. But before we get into this specific game or this series, John, you like the deal for the Royals' perspective?
Hey, you know what? The way I look at it is they like what they have. They like the collection of guys that they have. They're 52 and 54, but they're only 4 games out of a wild card spot. And so they're really banking on things going right. But to have an anchor in the rotation like Seth Lugo, and, you know, I know he's hurt right now, but Cole Reagan's for years to come. And, you know, they got a great start out of their starter tonight. So they've got a good thing going there in Kansas City. And I think just to solidify what this rotation is going to look like over the next few years, I think is a very good thing for the Royals. And they spent money. We want them to spend money. And that's great news for, you know, small market teams like the Royals.
You gave Bobby Witt Jr. that extension already, so you're trying to build on something there. I like that. Plus trading for Randall Grichuk, getting him out of Arizona, who Arizona basically defining themselves as their sellers before any of this started. It's basically a foregone conclusion they're going to trade Suarez.
Yeah.
And one of their starters you would think would go one of the guys at the top of their rotation, but good move out of the Royals. They're being somewhat aggressive at this deadline, basically on their own front too. I like what they've done. I have no problem with the Royals have done. On the other side of things, the Guardians here, not good, not a good job. They just have fallen off, and I wonder how many pieces they wind up trading. Clase could be moving there. We'll see what winds up happening. Let's hear from Jeff Ellis of Locked On Guardians. He has his thoughts on Cleveland dropping this series to the Royals.
Guardians fall to the Kansas City Royals, losing their first series since the All-Star break. I'm Jeff Ellis of Locked On Guardians, and let's get into an unfortunate loss. Cleveland, for this entire series, had more base runners than the Royals, but unfortunately today they could not put it all together. There were 3 things that definitely stood out for me in this one. 1, when you get the bases loaded in the first inning and nobody out and you get no runs, you're probably going to lose the game. 2, Joey Cantillo struggled with his command, one of his worst performances of the year, and his velocity was down. It's hard to be effective when your fastball is in the upper 80s in baseball anymore. And on top of that, the 3 hitters that are in the lineup that are supposed to hit lefties, when it combined 0 for 8 today with 6 strikeouts. That's not going to get it done. It was nice on a positive side to see Gabby Arias step up, have the only 2 extra base hits for Cleveland in this one. They had 7 hits. They should have had at least 2 runs. Unfortunately, it's a loss. It is their first loss of a series since the All-Star break. And we're not going to complain about the doubleheader. We're just going to say that tomorrow is a new day. They need to keep winning to show that this is a team that should be buyers, not sellers at the All-Star break. Make sure to check out Locked On Guardians for more Guardians content.
Interesting take there. I think they're going to absolutely be sellers. I don't see any scenario where the Guardians do buy. Clase, obviously a piece they can move in. Shane Bieber on a 1-year deal, possibly a really big target for somebody out there. I don't think Ramirez gets moved, even though there were some rumors around that.
No.
Don't think he winds up getting moved. Cleveland's now 6-4 in their last 10. They're 1 game under 500. You consider them sellers too?
I think they're going to buy. And look, if they're watching what the Royals are doing, I think that they're going to add as well, because they're sitting 3.5 back. Kansas City is 4 back in the wild card. And look, I know the Rangers have been really good out of the break. I know the Rays, you know, they're 500 right now. They don't have that many tough teams in front of them. The Mariners are 56 and 50. So are the Rangers. I mean, you sneak in there. I think Boston could fall apart at any time, really. And so I think those last 2 spots are still up for grabs, because I think you can gamble on weird stuff happening as the season finishes up.
Speaking of that Boston Red Sox team that you were just bringing up, they won 4-3 on Sunday. They beat the Dodgers, who went to Fenway. Mookie Betts returning to Fenway wasn't terrific in this series as he struggled pretty much all year. Dodgers lose the series. They lose 2 out of 3 to the Red Sox. It's a big series win for the Red Sox. Dustin May gave them 5 innings on 5 hits, 4 earned, and 5 Ks. And starting for the Red Sox, John, Mr. Walker Buehler returning against the Dodgers. They actually gave him his ring before this game. So he got his World Series ring. He pitched really well in that World Series, as much as it pains me to admit that. He went 4 2/3 over 4 hits, 3 earned, and 4 Ks. I said this before the year started. I love this Red Sox team, as weird as that is to come out of a Yankee fan's mouth. I think they're a really good team. I think they have a really good, well-rounded lineup. I like their pitching a lot. I think they did a lot. I don't still quite understand the Devers trade, to be quite honest with you. But it's a trade they made, and I don't think they're a bad baseball team, but they have a lot of trouble putting together consistent performances week in and week out. We'll see if they can use this series as a kind of jumping off point after the All-Star break. It is interesting, though, because I think they're one of the teams that you could have on your radar for sort of taking off after this All-Star break and after this trade deadline.
Yeah, I think that they could take off as well, but just as easily as they could take off, it feels like they could take some steps back. And, we're seeing that inconsistency that you were talking about with how they performed earlier this week, but then they take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers. And so it's a lot of back and forth. And fortunately, they're in the green. They have a winning record right now. They're holding that second spot in the wild card behind the Yankees. And so, so far so good. I really think it's going to take time for that young core to get together. You've got Roman Anthony and everybody. And of course, Alex Bregman coming back is a big boost to them. So I think if they can sustain and be healthy, if Trevor Story doesn't get hurt and he can continue to, put on the offense, they could really go somewhere. But I'm worried they're, one pitcher away, one hitter away of losing somebody, and then they could fall down those standings there in the wild card.
Completely agreed. Aroldis Chapman struggled. Jordan Hicks came in to get the save over an inning in 2/3. You mentioned inconsistency. It's been a big key for a lot of teams this year so far. Speak of the Dodgers, who really struggled going into the break and really haven't gotten off to a good position for themselves afterwards. The Padres are now 4 games back of them in the NL West as they still stick around. The Padres, they're refusing to go away with that lethal lineup. And inconsistency mentioned, I got to bring up the New York Yankees. We'll talk about it in the next segment because they are the label of inconsistency, but they are being very aggressive, which I like so far. We'll discuss it on the other side. Today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. You ever wish that managing your money felt easier? Well, with Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning for one of those big purchases, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO. It gives you full visibility and control over all of your finances. And guess what? Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, your investments, your spending. It's all available in one place on one app. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building your wealth. And there's also things that are divided into specific categories. You can track your subscriptions wherever you're spending your money. And if you're planning on making one of those big purchases with a significant other in the future, you can track all of it on Monarch. It just makes it simpler instead of having to deal with that constant financial stress that you've dealt with throughout your entire life that we all have. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code ONEWORD LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code ONEWORD LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. So, John, Phillies versus Yankees. Yankees take this game 4-3 in the final game of the series, but they lose the series overall. It's weird because this is the game you would have thought the Yankees were absolutely going to lose with Wheeler out on the mound, and Wheeler was not himself in this game. Paul Skeens was great in this on his start for the Pirates, so the ERA battle between Skeens and Wheeler is kind of differentiating here. Wheeler gave up 4 runs over 5 2/3, 8 strikeouts. The ERA is now 2.56, so Skeens got a little lower with that. Carlos Rodon, people have very differentiating opinions of Carlos Rodon. I'm going to ask yours in a second. 5 1/3, 3 runs, all on solo shots, 8 strikeouts. Carlos Rodon, in my opinion, battles every single start. And in years past, he would melt down when things got tough. He doesn't seem to do that anymore. He seems to battle and give you a professional start. What's your opinion as an outsider across the country on Carlos Rodon?
You know what? It's the same as yours. He battles, and he's a workhorse. Like, you can rely on him to go out there, give you, like tonight, at least 5 1/3, right? And I know as much as baseball is cutting back on how long these pitchers go, the fact is you can expect a decent start, if not a great start, out of Carlos Rodon every time he goes out there. So I'm with you on Rodon. I think he's a workhorse, man.
When you get a performance from the Yankee bullpen like you did in this game, it makes it a lot easier. Loaizaga, Hill, Weaver, and Williams gave up 1 hit over 3 2/3 combined. That is as good as it gets. Yankees now 5.5 games back of Toronto. They got to pick it up if they want to get back into this division race. I also wanted to mention, too, what's crazy. Yankees, 4 runs, no homers. That's a positive sign for me.
Yes.
If you're going to be able to score like that, you need to. Led by newly acquired Ryan McMahon. We'll get to that in a second, but first, let's hear from Mark of Locked On Phillies. He was on the postcast. He's going to tell us how the Phillies fell short of the Yankees in the Bronx.
Fail to break out the brooms in the Bronx as they fall to the Yankees 4-3 in Game 3 of their 3-game series. Zach Wheeler did not have his best stuff, especially in that second inning. He allowed all 4 runs to score in the frame on 3 hits and also hitting back-to-back batters to aid the Yankees in that second inning rally. As for the Phillies offense, Otto Kemp hit you 2 solo home runs. Nick Castellanos also hit a solo home run, his 14th of the season. For Kemp, he's now got 4 on the year. Phillies bats had another opportunity in the 5th inning to really get back into this ball game and take the lead. They had runners on first and second with nobody out, but Rojas, Turner, and Kyle Schwarber went down 1, 2, 3 after that. Schwarber missing his 37th Schwarber bomb of the season, just barely missing that home run on the warning track at Yankee Stadium in right field.
Yeah, I was all in my gut when I saw that Schwarber hit because I really thought it was going out. Almost freaked out there, but didn't have to. Phillies are now 2 games back of the Mets in the NL East, but have a comfortable lead in that wild card. They'll be a scary team in the postseason going forward. John, crazy series, good series. Let's see what winds up happening, though.
Hey, what do you think of Ryan McMahon at third base so far? Because 2 things. As JD and I have been doing game night, you mentioned the home runs earlier and how the Yankees didn't get any runs via the home run, which has been something they did this week against the Blue Jays. It was all or nothing, right? So good sign there. The second thing is we know how much you've been pounding your chest about, like, we got to do something about third base. So Ryan McMahon, has he been a good solution for you guys so far?
Well, he's a wizard with the glove. We've learned that over the 2 games that he played on Saturday and Sunday. He had a lot of web gems out there.
Yeah.
So that was really positive to see. Plus a 2 RBI double in the early on in that game against the Phillies in the second inning. So I like what I've seen so far. He's got great exit velo. Plus they acquired Ahmed Rosario. They've been the aggressive team so far out of the deadline. So I'm really excited what I'm seeing. It looks like Rosario is going to play against lefties, and they're going to have McMahon play against righties because Rosario's hitting like 310 against lefties this year. It's crazy stat. So I like what they've done so far.
And the 2 of those guys together, that cleans up your infield in
completely
such a huge way for sure.
Completely. We'll see what they do. They're probably going to add pitching. That's what I'd look at next. But I love how the Yankees have been aggressive so far to a team that's been really good this year and battled their local rival, the Cubs and the White Sox. Cubbies win 5-4. They win the series 2 out of 3. Ben Brown goes 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned, 4 strikeouts. Ryan Brazier gave up 3 runs out of the Cubby pen, but Valencia helped him close it out. Plus Pete Crow Armstrong drove in 2 runs. Nico Horner had 2 hits in this game. Let's go to Sam Olber of the Locked On Cubs and how the Cubs were able to take the series and how they got this one done.
A lot of people thought this was going to be a tough series for the Cubs, and they were right, but the Cubs found a way to get the job done. I'm Sam Olber from the Locked On Cubs podcast. Cubs survive and win 2 out of 3 with a 5-4 win on Sunday against the White Sox. Ben Brown was really good today, or much better than he had been. Happy for him, was nice to see. Nico Horner had a spectacular game, RBI single, really creative play in the field on an infield fly, letting it drop and then getting a runner trying to advance on it. He had a 14 pitch at bat where he ended up getting a base hit. His skills and baseball IQ were all on display. Another good day for Matt Shaw, but for me, the big story, Daniel Palencia, really growing into this role as the shutdown man. A 4-out save after the Cubs kind of made things interesting. 5-1, it became 5-4 in the bottom of the 8th, and that's what a closer does. Takes momentum and says, nope, this is going to be our game, our win, and Palencia did that. Cubs take 2 of 3, like I said. Now, trade deadline week and Brewers week. Other than that, not a lot going on.
He mentioned it. The Brewers series is the big one, John. Cubs Brewers, they go to Milwaukee. They are both currently tied for the lead in the National League Central, so that is going to be an outstanding series at the start. The White Sox are going to welcome the Philadelphia Phillies to town, which I'm sure are licking their chops after taking their loss to the New York Yankees. Let's go to your boys, Mariners at the Angels. 2 big things in this game, right? So future Hall of Famer Mike Trout gets his 1,000th career RBI way later than it should have happened. We'll discuss that in a second. But also, you had to watch Cal Raleigh hit another home run. It's ridiculous. 41 now on the year, John.
Yeah, I don't like seeing home runs from the Mariners. However, I'm not a dummy. I have Cal Raleigh on my fantasy team, so I'm happy about the solo home run, and I'm happy about the Angels win. So when you look at the way this game started and you saw the probables of Logan Gilbert versus Kyle Hendricks, who knew that it would be Hendricks toss in a nice little gem there? But both these guys were perfect for the first 3 innings. And then, in fact, Hendricks even got a perfect 4th inning. But then it was Logan Gilbert who had a tough 5th inning. He loaded the bases on 2 walks and a hit by pitch. Had some wild pitches in there. One that scored Rengifo from 3rd. Mike Trout shuts it down and seals the deal with a 2-run home run. So not only is he sitting on home run number 397, but he got RBIs 1,000 and 1,001 in this with that 2-run shot. The Angels bullpen shut it down, hitless for those 3 innings that they took over. 4-1 win for the Halos. These 2 teams split the series over this 4-game set.
Yeah, so Angels now 5 games out of the wild card spot. I would consider them sellers, but what do you think?
I think everybody would agree with you except for Artie Moreno, Angels owner. I think that he's so much about the entertainment factor and, hey, we're close. So yeah, there's probably some indications that this team could be obvious sellers. To me, they're kind of like the Red Sox, honestly, Brian, in the sense that they go on these tears and then all of a sudden they look really bad. So inconsistency has been the name of the game for the Angels. They have a lot of stuff to sell. Now it's just a matter of if they're going to do it or not.
And that's depressing because, unfortunately, the only opinion on that really matters is Artie Moreno's opinion. Correct. So that kind of does stink. Let's go to Blue Jays Tigers. This series was a very interesting one. Blue Jays take the series 3 out of 4 because they refused to lose. Right. Detroit won this game 10-4 to close out the series. Now, what's crazy about this, Max Scherzer was actually really good for Toronto in this start. He goes 7 innings, 3 earned, 11 Ks, and then the Blue Jays bullpen just gets lit up. Now, they've given you they can afford that light up because they have just not lost since the All-Star break, really since before that too. They're not giving any leeway. Chad Green comes in, gives up 3 runs over 2/3 of an inning, and then Justin Brule comes in, 3 runs over 1/3 of an inning. They just unbelievably struggled. Jack Flaherty here got the win, 6 innings, 5 hits, no earned, 7 strikeouts, and then, as it pains me to say too, Gleyber Torres, unbelievable 3-run bomb in the 3rd. Baez got going there too. Torkelson got involved. Gleyber had 4 RBIs in this game. The Detroit Tigers, they got to try and get going though because they've lost 8 of their first 10 out of the All-Star break. They've really struggled. That's including a sweep to the Pirates. So they have really not been good out of the All-Star break. And the Blue Jays now have a 5.5 game lead in the AL East. This game was a different storyline, but overall, a 3 out of 4 series victory for the Blue Jays. Pretty damn impressive, right? Yeah,
and especially with Detroit, the fact that their offense has been so cold, like prior to the All-Star break and then afterwards too. This is a nice, coming out party for them, honestly, to have, a 10-4 victory. But then on the flip side, this is Scherzer's best start of the season. So you're kind of hoping that if you're a Blue Jays fan, that this is something that he can continue to do because, Scherzer, reliable. He'll give you a decent outing, but to go 7 innings, 11 Ks, 3 earnings, that's a good sign for this Blue Jays rotation if he's able to keep doing that moving forward.
Jack Leiter and Paul Skeens were unbelievably dominant in their starts, plus Padres Cardinals. We'll discuss that on the other side here on Locked On MLB Game Night. Today's show is brought to you by Game Day Hue. You can see it on my head right now. They're unbelievable hats, gloves, everything you can imagine in your team's color line. Game Day Hue makes clean, no logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you guys. There's no giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the course, or anywhere in between. I love this hat. I can wear it on dates. I can wear it out to games. I can do whatever I want with it, including while I'm hosting Locked On Yankees or Locked On MLB Game Night, because it matches my team's colors. Also, the hat pairs perfectly with my usual golf gear. I can wear that along with the golf glove. It comes in the exact same colors. It's perfect. It looks great. It's casual. It's smart. It's everything you really want in your team's gear. And get this too. We got a deal for you right now. You can get 15% off when you use code MLB15 at GameDayHue.com. That's GameDayHue.com. The code even works on stacks and bundle deals, so now is the time to load up. So let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GameDayHue.com, code MLB15. So, John, Cardinals, Padres. Padres were at the Cardinals in this series. One of the most beautiful ballparks in baseball. One of the 19 that I've been to now.
Nice.
One of my favorites. Padres 9-2 victory in this game. They split the series 2-2. This was the Manny Machado game. Unbelievable. 4 hits in this game, including 3 RBIs. He goes 3 for 4, 2 doubles. The Padres also had 16 hits in this spot, surprisingly, also from Luis Arias, who continues to hit. He's having a down year, and he's hitting 280.
Right.
That's how good he's been. Stephen Kolek, 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned, 2 strikeouts in the victory. And you want to tell us about Michael McGreevy in this spot?
Yeah, here's the thing. So JD has been, talking about having Michael McGreevy take Eric Fetty's spot. Obviously, the Cardinals DFA'd Eric Fetty. The Braves actually traded for him, so he'll be part of that rotation. But JD's been, shouting from the rooftops, give Michael McGreevy the start. Well, it didn't turn out so great in this one. So let's go to JD, because he's got some thoughts, and he might be regretting this Michael McGreevy in the rotation take that he's had.
St. Louis Cardinals dropped the final game of their 4-game series with the Padres by a score of 9-2, and Michael McGreevy did his best Eric Fetty impersonation in this particular one. Hey, it's Shady from Locked On Cardinals, and the Cardinals move on from Eric Fetty so that Michael McGreevy can get into the rotation as an official member. And in the first game, as an official member of this rotation, he does exactly what Eric Fetty does. 4 2/3, 7 runs, 9 hits, only 2 strikeouts. It was brutal. Fell behind early. Cardinals are always playing from behind. Very little offense in this one. Alec Burleson had the home run, but rough couple days for this Cardinals offense and for this team, who was hoping to pick up some momentum heading towards the trade deadline, but nope. 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. Miami Marlins are in town next. For the latest updates and info, be sure to keep it Locked On Cardinals.
You'll see me on shorts often, generally never doing it while I'm driving. So massive skills there to be able to get down the highway while doing a Cardinal short.
Also, shout out to JD and his grandmother, who just turned 100 years old. They celebrated by taking her to one of those Padres Cardinals games. So,
poor thing.
Yeah. She wanted to go. That's what she wanted to do. So, congrats to her.
Cardinals sellers.
I think they have so much good stuff to sell, like Ryan Helsley, right? Like he's got to be on the trade market. And, there's some other closers out there, Kenley Jansen maybe, but Ryan Helsley is certainly going to be at the top. Yeah. And Arenado, if they're still trying to move him after as much as they tried over the offseason, for sure.
Crazy for the Cardinals. I got to feel bad for that fan base, one of the best fan bases in baseball, and they have completely fallen apart really since the summer started. Padres will welcome the Mets into town. They're now 4 games back at the Dodgers, as we discussed earlier, and the Cardinals will welcome the Marlins into St. Louis. They're 3.5 out of that wild card spot, but there's a ton of teams in front of them, so it's going to be really tough. I'd probably sell if I was the Cardinals too. To the Rockies and the Orioles. Boy, this was a bunch of barn burners going after each other here, right? Baltimore wins the game 5-1. They take the series 2 out of 3. They won 18-0 on Saturday. This Rockies team is obviously not very good. We know that. Austin Gomber, 4 1/3, 4 hits, 4 earned, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. And Sagana was great here. Yeah. Gives you 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned, 8 strikeouts. I got to tell you, though, this Baltimore Orioles team is the most confusing team in all of baseball.
Right.
I don't understand how they spent no money in the offseason. And you'd think still with their talent that they'd be able to somewhat figure something out. They've just never been able to get on somewhat of a consistent streak this year. I don't get it.
Yeah. And even the young guys have kind of taken a step back too. So, they've already sold. And if they continue to sell, maybe Sagano, who, could be a nice body for somebody. But the fact is if they can reload at this trade deadline, maybe they'll get out of the gate next season in a lot better shape.
And for the love of God, spend some money. It's not that hard.
Right.
Tyler O'Neill had a 2-homer game. And I had a 2-run homer actually in the third inning here. The Orioles are going to stay home. They're going to take on the Blue Jays. So that looks like more victories for the Blue Jays coming ahead. And the Rockies are going to head to Cleveland. The Rockies are now 27-78. To the point earlier on Cleveland, if they're going to be a buyer or a seller, that Rockies series might derail them in either direction of what they're going to do. You start losing some games to the Rockies, it might be time to sell. You start winning some games against the Rockies, it might be time to buy there. So we'll see what winds up happening with that going forward. Marlins Brewers, interesting series here. Milwaukee takes the final game of this series 3-2, but the Marlins win the series 2 out of 3 after they really found a way to slow down the hottest team in baseball. Maybe a look ahead spot here. Maybe the Brewers looking ahead to the Cubs series. That's a really big one, obviously, in Milwaukee. So they're probably not taking the Marlins as seriously. I know that's kind of a football analogy,
right?
But it might work here. Let's hear from Chuck of Locked On Brewers. He's got his thoughts on the outcome of this series and what it means for the Brewers going forward.
I just had a feeling the Brewers are going to find some way to win that game and avoid a sweep, and they walk it off. Hey, everybody, Chuck Freeman, instant reaction, Locked On Brewers. Yeah, losing 2 of 3 at home to the Miami Marlins, not the best scenario, but hey, that's baseball. The Brewers have won so many series, that's just going to happen. I'm getting DMs, people asking me, well, the Brewers, they've swept the Dodgers this year, and then they lose 2 of 3 to Miami. Hey, I think the National League is so wide open. Brandon Woodruff, man, he gutted through his performance today, hung in there, and then the offense comes through in the end. We're going to talk about all of this coming up. And like I said, I think the National League is wide open. And that's a good thing for the Milwaukee Brewers. Trading deadline week and the Cubs on Monday. We'll talk about all of it coming up. Please subscribe.
Yeah, Woodruff was great. Blake Perkins obviously walked this game off. They scored 2 runs in the final 2 innings to get the walk-off in this game. Again, Brewers taking on the Cubs in the NL Central battle. That's going to be an unbelievable series going forward. To the Rays and the Reds. The Reds take a 2-1 win here in this game. They also complete the sweep over the Rays, who, John, have completely fallen apart. Yeah. The Rays who were in this have completely fallen off. It looks like the Rays now are going to wind up being one of the bigger sellers of the deadline going forward.
And they certainly know how to trade them. So, if they approach you, you might want to say, why? Why are you interested in this guy? What are we missing? Because the Rays will unlock something in some guy that some team is not paying attention to or doesn't realize, just this one little mechanical tweak could change things for this guy.
The Reds are fun. The Rays obviously coming off of a 2-3 series loss to the White Sox too, which became a problem. Brady Singer gave you 7 1/3 here, 3 hits, no runs, and 8 strikeouts. The Reds are a fun team, and they should be buyers. They're talented. They got Ellie De La Cruz having another good year. Obviously had the game-winning hit early in the weekend. They're a really good team. They're currently a half game out of a wild card spot, that last wild card spot in the National League. They should be buyers on every which way. I like this Reds team a lot. They'll stay home for the Dodgers, who are struggling. So we'll see what they can do against the Dodgers. It's going to be a good test for them. Again, the Rays are sitting now 3 games out. They're going to head to the Bronx to take on the Yankees in a massive series for both of those teams. Doubt they'll trade with each other, so I'm a little more confident in that aspect. I don't like trading with the Rays at all. Let's go to the Athletics and the Astros, John. Astros swept by the Athletics. What is going on?
I'll take it. I'm not mad about it.
Exactly. A 7-1 victory in the last game of this series. A's complete a 4-game sweep. How? Colton Gordon in this game, 4 earned runs, including 2 home runs from Miguel and Duhar. Shane Langoliers, 2, also getting involved there. A's starter JT Ginn was awesome through 6 innings, 3 hits, striking out 4. What a weird series. Who expected a sweep going on here? Crazy. What do you do for the Astros here? I guess you're a buyer, right? But they're going to need some serious infield help.
They got a lot of stuff to address, and they've been keeping their head above the water, even with all the injuries and everybody that has fallen. They have player after player after player that speaks to their player development. Speaking of former Yankee Miguel Andujar, I think that he would be a great trade piece for somebody out there because he's having a really great season so far.
Yeah, he'd be a really solid fit for somebody. I wonder who winds making a move there because the A's have a lot of pieces they can wind up moving here as they prepare in a couple of years to head to Vegas. I think they become big spenders as that happens too, because sooner than later, they're going to wind up selling the team. Valuation's going to go up. They're going to have a lot of money pumping in soon. So if that team can build towards something positive in the next 3 years, that'll be a really key move. I'm going to skip ahead here to Nationals Twins. One of the teams going into the deadline, we'll see what the Twins wind up doing. Nationals take a 7-2 victory in this game. They take 2 out of 3 in the series, but they're going to be big sellers as they've already sold Ahmed Rosario. Jake Irvin went 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned in this game. The Twins went through 6 pitchers. They went with an opener. Travis Adams, 3 1/3 over the middle of the game, but gave up 5 hits and 5 earned. CJ Abrams, Josh Bell, Paul DeYoung getting involved. Let's see what Brandon Warren of Locked On Twins shared on Sunday's game.
Was the C.J. Abrams show as the Twins fell to the Nationals on Sunday 7-2 in the series finale. And in short, if you saw Saturday's game, you really didn't need to watch Sunday's. This is Brendan Warren with your Locked On Twins postgame minute. Abrams reached 4 times, stole 3 bases, and outscored the Twins by himself with 3 runs on the day. Minnesota native Jake Irvin was far from overpowering, didn't get his first strikeout until the 7th inning, and only had 2 overall. But the Twins seemed to be willing to swing early and often for easy outs as he won his 8th ball game of the season. Twins fell to 2-3 in games started by openers this season. Cole Sands allowed an earned run in the first 2 innings, and then Danny Coulombe handed it over to Travis Adams, who was knocked around for triple nickels. 5 hits, 5 runs, and all 5 were earned. His ERA is 8.03, which is the area code for Central South Carolina. That's not even the fun fact. The fun fact, Matt Wallner's homer off Jake Irvin was the 45th time a Minnesota-born hitter homered off a Minnesota-born pitcher, and the 5th time it's happened in the state of Minnesota. Up next, Twins send SWR to the mound against Boston's Richard Fitz. First pitch, 6:40 p.m. on Monday evening at Target Field as we inch ever closer to the trade deadline. We'll have full coverage of that and the deadline. This is Locked On Twins.
Definitely looking forward to taking care of that because the trade deadline is going to be a lot of fun this year. I have a feeling we're going to see some big moves being made. Braves Rangers taking an 8-1 victory, sweep the Braves. Jack Leiter, awesome in this game. 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned, 7 Ks. He's been terrific throughout this. The Rangers have won 9 of 10 since the All-Star break, and they're going to be massive buyers. That's a fun baseball team. I like the Rangers a lot with their great pitching of Eovaldi, Leiter, and DeGrom. I don't want to see that in a playoff series at all. To close it out, John, here, D-backs at the Pirates. Pirates take a 6-0 victory. They've played well out of the deadline. They won 2 out of 3 against the Diamondbacks, who are probably going to be one of the bigger sellers. They still have Suarez to move, plus one of their pitchers. They're going to be big sellers. Skeens goes 6 innings, 3 hits, 9 strikeouts. ERA now down to 1.83. He's got 2 straight victories, too. That's going to make things a lot tougher for Zach Wheeler, who I think Paul Skeens is now going to be the top Cy Young favorite. Also, Zach Gallen, who could be one of the pieces the Diamondbacks move, goes 6 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned. Not a good performance for the Diamondbacks to get a lot of value back. Going to be a big selling game for them. Pirates are going to head to San Francisco. They're going to take on the San Francisco Giants going forward. That could lead to the Giants buying. We'll see what happens there. And the Diamondbacks are going to head to Detroit. We'll see if the Detroit Tigers can get right on the Diamondbacks. Definitely interesting series. And I appreciate your help, John, on this Sunday night MLB Game Night. I look forward to joining you guys every single week. You'll have me as a consistent host for Sundays the rest of the baseball season. I want to thank all of you guys for joining us on this episode. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share this episode with all your friends. We hope you come back and visit us next time on MLB Game Night. Every game, every night.